I hope you guys liked that introduction. I just wanted to give you a taste of what the meta looks like right now. It's a heavy burst damage, one shot you, 20 seconds and it's done and it's over and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, why have we come to this? Well, there's a few reasons, okay? First of all, you gotta look at the whales. This is what the main carry looks like. When it's maxed out, it's 125% bonus damage to your ultimate skill, which is unbelievable, right? This is better than demonic fully stacked. This is better than battle stance fully stacked. Then on top of that, you get another 125% damage on the second ultimate. It's not balanced, it's not fair, and you are getting one shot over and over and over. And that's why you saw the thumbnail of this video. It is the ban hammer. We're going over all the little details that the devs changed, right? This is probably the biggest patch, the most impactful patch we've had in a very long time. Now, I also made a chart, and we're going to reference this chart in just a few minutes. This makes it way easier to see what everything does as we get to that. Now, first and foremost, Tower of Knowledge. 4 new skills, 2 are epic. These are the orange or gold ones or whatever you want to call them. And this is a really important one. Master's Aegis reduces magical damage received by all allies. Okay, this is very good. We needed a counter magic because right now Loki's killing you one shot, Baldwin's killing you one shot, Himiko's killing you one shot. Okay, having a magic reduce, I don't know if this is an aura or whatever it is, but if it does it to everyone, I'm assuming it's an aura. We'll see when it comes out. But this is going to be really good. Next is Blade Dodge. For the first 15 seconds of battle, reduce the damage dealt and received, which means you're not going to be doing much damage, but they're not going to be doing much damage to you. This is a single target. This is what battle stance used to be, but they changed it, and now I think this is the new iteration of it. It's a 70% damage reduction for 15 seconds, but you also deal 70% less damage. But then you stack 10 times 70 or 7% damage, or 3. Sorry. This 7% at max level times 10. It's 70% damage. So if you can stack it up, and if you can find value in the stall, this is gonna be very good. I actually rate this one an S tier, and I believe I would give Master Aegis an S tier as well, as long as mages are in the meta. But I think the simple fact that this exists might make mages much less effective. Now, these ones aren't so great. I think they're not gonna have a great place. Increasing your physical attack by a few thousand isn't going to be that impactful, and neither is the magical attack. There's just going to be so much better options than these, but they are going to be purple. They're going to be basically free or just very cheap to get. So in the early game, these might have a lot of value. I think in the late game, for most of my audience, these aren't going to have much value. New skin, 2% HP, 3% death rate. In terms of combat and lasting longer in a fight, this is going to be the new best skin. However, I think most people just like the honor from the new skin that we got with 2% HP and honor. So, you know, take it as it is. We'll see what it looks like. Definitely a great skin though. Really nice things here. A big one, checkpoints. The zone next to a wall, I'm actually going to show you. There's a little yellow zone next to a wall, right? When you're sieging a wall and you do a relocation, you can see the yellow under it, and it's yellow, and then it's green, right? So as soon as it's green, you can relocate here and be safe. They're gonna increase this by 50%, so it's gonna go, I believe, 1 or 2 squares. It should go 2 squares higher, so they'll be able to 3 squares within. There'll be 1, 2, 3 castles, and it's gonna go wider too. So depending on how the curvature is, it's just gonna mean it's gonna be harder to hold towers, right? And it's gonna create more space there to take them in return, which is very interesting for strategy. You can't just sit alts in the towers, which I think is a good update. Alliance tactic, wonder builders being replaced with no losses. All units constructing a thermal tower suffer no losses in battle. This effect lasts for 30 minutes. This is actually going to be really, really cool in close KVKs. My last KVK, we would fight for thermals non-stop. You build, and you would lose so many troops. But when you pop this thing, man, you're going to lose nothing, which is actually incredible. I'd actually say borderline overpowered, the same way Wonder Builder was. Not quite the same as that, but very, very, very nice. Some optimizations. Some people had questions about this. It's very simple. Currently, if you want to reborn an artifact to get better stats, you do it in the lab. You do it right here, which is awkward because it should be in the forge. They're just adding a new tab. There's probably gonna be a fourth tab here. We'll see what they do, but there should be a fourth tab there. That's all that's really happening. And you don't need to level to 15 then reborn it. Level to 15, you just reborn it. It's gonna be much easier. I'll make a whole video about that probably when it comes out, when I show off probably redoing one of my own. Star popularity is getting a little changed. They're just removing like function and giving a gift factor. I mean, we'll have to see how that plays out. But the big piece of this video that I really want to dive into is this, and a lot of people get just lost in the sauce here. Doing all the math is so complicated. It's so hard to understand this. So I broke it down for you. Okay, when it says Night Spirit, Destroyer Stance, Whirlwind Shock, they're talking about melee characters. So when we look at a melee character, let's click on one I haven't leveled, like Kublai. Here's Night Spirit, Destroyer Stance, Whirlwind Shock. So this is what I mean. So they're only changing melee, mage, and range. They're not touching support and they're not touching tanks because they're both quite balanced. The problem we're having is mages one-shot you, mainly because of this corrupting wave. You're getting the 125% damage, and in the non-legendaries you're getting 100%. And same with range, you're getting the 125 here with Apollo, and you're getting the 100 here, which hasn't really been a problem. So I'm kind of confused why they nerfed this one, but we'll talk about each one. Diving in, this top section, these are all legendaries. Poseidon, Wukong, things like this, right? Loki and Apollo. Night Spirit going up 30% damage. Oh, and these are the damage. These are only, I'm only showing the things that they changed. The damage on Destroyer Stance went up 30, and Whirlwind Shock went up 150%. This, if you watch one of my recent videos, I showed a Whirlwind Shock test on my Alex, which is right here at 300%, and it felt extremely, extremely underwhelming. But this 350 to 500, man, 500 is an ultimate. Like 500% is Khan's ultimate, and Khan has a pretty solid damage. So this might actually be something to use. We'll see how people will use it in the future, but be careful. They did buff melee units. Now I said Banhammer. The reason the Banhammer is this part right here. Every single mage is using Corrupting Wave, either here or here, and they're nerfing it dramatically. It's going from 125 to 80% here. It's going from 100 to 65 here. That's a massive, massive drop. That's 35%, guys. That is insane. And then they compensate buff or resil percent, which just isn't that good. It's not that relevant. If you're building correctly and you have your gems and you have the right auras, the resil doesn't matter. You're just missing out on damage. What's funny is they buffed something that was already good. You're still getting the crit rate here, but now you're getting more damage. So why would you ever pick this one when you could pick something 10% less and have bonus crit rate? It doesn't make any sense. But Infernal also went up to 500, so that 500% is basically another ultimate, and I believe it's on a 9-second cooldown with a 70% chance to activate. So this could be really, really good. Same here. The potential is really there. Concentration Stance is for the ranges, so instead of resil they got accuracy. I think accuracy is completely useless. The dragon plus the gems plus the specialization, you just don't need it. You don't really miss. I've never even considered missing in a long time. So I don't know why accuracy, it's just nerfed. And again, deadly aim, you got 30% more damage. It's only 10% less. And it got a crit rate buff. I think just deadly aim and storm spell are going to be way better. And then you have some options with melees. Actually, probably all three are good options. Now for most of us who are going to be playing with the epics, you got a 20% boost on Night Spirit, 20% boost on Destroyer Stance, and 100% on Whirlwind Shock, which is, you know, technically 25% boost or so. It's pretty close to that. I think we're gonna get into a melee meta here. The simple fact that this corrupting wave dropped so much, right? A 35% drop is incredibly high, and most people are using this on their Himikos, on their Baldwins, on their Wu, on everything mage related. They're using this because it's the best one. But now you're gonna have to consider, do I want the crit rate plus 55%? Because again, here it's only 10% lower, which is very, very interesting. We're gonna have to do a lot of testing here. Is that Resil gonna make a difference? Is anyone even gonna be building crit rate anymore? Or people are gonna switch to this and they want crit rate, and then you have to go to corrupting wave to get the resilience, you know. So there's a lot of interesting pieces that go to it. I'm not sure why they nerfed concentration stance on epics. There were none that were really broken. No one's using Syndiok, no one's using Khan, no one's using Elizabeth, no one's using Gilgamesh. Everyone's using Himiko. Himiko's like 90% of mains at the top ranks. All the top players that aren't using Chaos are using Himiko. And a few exceptions, a few Wu players, a few Baldwin players, but it's just so much Himiko. And a lot of them actually already use this middle one. And so it's actually getting a buff, which is kind of funny. Excuse me, that's here. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense, but we're getting buffs on Deadly Aim and Stellar Rain. So these are things to be watching out for. This is going to be crit on Deadly Aim. So trying to find value in what they're changing, being flexible and adapting to the new metas. There's going to be a ton of experimenting. I do think we're going to start to see more melee carries rather than range carries. Everyone's side assisting. I think more and more people are going to be starting to guard, and Tutankhamun's going to be more valuable. Kubal Khan's going to be more valuable. Alex, Baldwin, Hybrid is definitely going to be more powerful, right? Both Alex and Hannibal are going to get a 20% boost in damage. That's kind of nuts. So things to be looking out for, things to think about, and if you want to, you know, screenshot this, whatever, use it for your notes, go ahead. And that's just what all this bulk is. I just compressed it for you guys. Now here's some more nerfs, and you probably saw these in the thumbnail. Energy Mastery, it gave that huge 125% boost. It's no longer a huge boost, okay? They kept the energy the same, but they decreased it, okay? The flat starts 7.5% lower, and per level is 2.5% less. It's a very big nerf. I was already talking about 35% being a huge nerf. This is a big hit. So you're losing your upfront damage and you're losing the bonus damage from this skill. And then a lot of the mega whales are using Energy Mastery plus Adrenaline Rush. This is why it's getting nerfed, is because it's too strong. They were rushing their first ultimate with Adrenaline, landing it with Energy Mastery, and then getting the second ultimate way before they should, and then getting a third before the opponent was getting a second. So it wasn't fair. They changed it from 150 per activation to 100, and then they just changed Lightning Strike. This skill isn't used by a lot of people. It's very niche, and it's just getting a small buff. Now here's the Baldwin nerf, which bothers me quite a bit, because anytime anything gets kind of decent, and you probably saw one in the video, there's two Baldwin clips, they're taking off his magic damage boost. So you'll notice here it says increase magic damage taken. So if you land a tornado on them, they take 30% boosted damage. That's just gone. So you lose 30% boosted damage on his ultimate. If you're gonna play him like the way the whales are, you're gonna lose another 25 to 30% on Energy Mastery, and then you're gonna lose 35% here. You're losing so much damage. He was already balanced. I actually, after playing a ton of Baldwin this KVK, I lose to all the tank Himiko teams. Every single one. I lose to all of them unless I get really lucky. He is a luck-based hero because he's random with where the tornadoes go. So it's very frustrating to see him finally come into play and then bit nerfed right away. He'll still probably be decent, but if you put dust into him, I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'm pretty frustrated, but you know, it is what it is. We gotta be flexible. We gotta find the next best thing. I do think there's gonna be some great finds, some diamonds in the rough here. Something like storm spell. Keep the crit rate and more damage. That's gonna look good on a fire with Wu, man. Wu could be up there. She's very similar to Baldwin. She's very luck reliant. How many bounces do you get, right? Things like that. So things to think about. If you haven't been building these heroes, then you know, things to think about. Once you add in her artifact, you're going to increase her chance by 10%. If you add Abundant Spirit, it's going to go up to 80. So you're going to get some good value out of her, and you're going to get all that extra crit rate. So, you know, things like this, I'm going to put out a bunch of videos as soon as they drop the new patch, just testing and experimenting to keep you guys up to date with what's happening. But I really hope you guys liked all the effort put into this one. And if you like it, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.